So we're back again. This episode of Palms Podcast.
PP.
Pretty interesting topic we have for you guys today. The question is, what would you change about the world and why?
So go ahead and start us off, man. Go ahead. What you changing up?
Something I would change about the world would probably be, one thing I'm interested in is just like language communication across countries, and dialect and all that stuff. So I guess one thing I would change would be that in America, we would be taught at least,
USA.
mandatorily in school, taught like, 4 or 5 of the most common languages around the world. Because it's kind of weird to me that like, if you meet someone that's from like another country, they can speak 3 or 4 languages just off the bat, just because that's what they're taught. And I feel like in America, we're supposed to be one of the most advanced nations in the world. But when it comes to communication across countries and nations, we lack that because not everyone here can speak multiple languages. It's like, yeah, some of us can speak 1 or 2 languages, but the second language is not always that strong. And I feel like if, in America, we were taught at a young age to learn 4 or 5 languages, we would probably be better off than we are now, I guess.
So you saying our educational system is pretty trash?
For the most part, yeah. I think as a whole, education in the U.S. could be changed and, focused more on motivation-based things than just things that the predecessors made. Like, for instance, things that we learned in high school are not important or relevant to what's going on now, because it's like when those books were written, that history at the time was relevant, but like they teach us old things that aren't really important to what's going on now because times have changed for the most part. So there's new history that needs to be taught. So I do think the U.S. education system could be changed or should be changed because it would make us look better. Yeah,
That's an interesting one. Even to go along with that, I guess access to schools and everything, you know what I'm saying? Even if you look at like public schools and everything, the funding to those schools for like the amount of money we have in this nation, like it's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of kids that come out those schools, and you have like your little miracle children who like 1 or 2 is gonna make it to college, or you know what I'm saying, but like most of them, they're not gonna retain much information because the teachers can't get much done because they don't have books, they don't have supplies. You know what I'm saying? There's water damage in the ceilings. Back onto your main point about language and across countries and nations, I think we're still lacking in that. It's like you get into high school and you got one subject, Spanish, and they require you to just learn that, but it's not anything that's consistent, and they kind of teach the same criteria over and over again. Cause I've been learning the same thing in elementary, middle school, to high school,
and even now in college. Cause
I don't even take it in college.
Well, I took Spanish. I've taken 3 years of Spanish here, and the first 2 classes I took in Spanish, I basically knew everything already because I learned it in high school. So, like, I feel like in college, if you were going to learn a language, you should be being pushed to, like, become more... It's one thing to teach us grammatical things, but teach us how to speak, because speaking teaches you how to have conversations with people, and then you can start to understand what's really being said and how they're saying it instead of, like, just writing it, because it's way different than, like, someone that can write Spanish and read Spanish and understand it. But when it comes to having conversation, they're unable to, put themselves and be successful in that.
Yeah, and I think it brings about this ignorant culture that we have in America. Someone comes up, speaks in another language, and you're like, oh, can you speak English or say it in English? I don't understand you. Or, oh, you're not American because you can't speak English. It's like, okay, over in their country, they're forcing their people to learn English so that when we go over there, they can talk to us. But when we're here, it's not it's not really a requirement or something that's like really pushed. It's like, okay, you need to learn French or Spanish or whatever or German, but that's not any like requirement. You know, my my counselor were like, all right, take 2 Spanishes and that's it. And you know, as long as you say hola, adios, that's all we need.
Yeah.
And I know hola and adios. Adios, what's that? Like the topping for the. Like
All
dinner.
right.
It's like salt.
So okay,
Adios.
enough with me. What would you change? What would you change?
Man, something I would change probably be. I don't know if this is like something that can even be changed. I want to change views. You know, like I want to just restart history, just bring it all back. Like problems with slavery, discrimination, prejudice views, and like just like the systematic issues in America. It's just, I know I'm looking, well, honestly, it's not even America, it's nationwide, worldwide. Like these problems are in every single country, worldwide, all over the place. There's not one country where you can go to and people don't face discrimination, prejudice views, racism, systematic racism, stuff like that. It's just, I just see how it impacts people and it holds you back. You know, a lot of people say, okay, just speaking on America, basically, we're the land of opportunity or whatever, right? You know, everybody has an equal chance to do things, and that's not true, like at all. Like the amount of work a minority person in America has to do to achieve what Caucasian male can do, for instance, is indescribable.
Yeah.
It's indescribable. And the opportunities we get is not, you know, we're very limited. When you look at like red flag neighborhoods and like how there's like white people who won't even move to certain neighborhoods because they've been red flagged because of the amount of minorities that live in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I just think like if we could just go back and change things, you know, like if we all just became this unit, like how America's supposed to be, you know?
The melting pot.
Yeah, like if, like, and it goes back to that topic of like, sort of like the national anthem, you know? It's like a lot of people don't want to sing that song because they don't have the opportunities that come with that song.
Yeah. The song was written at a time when America was in a different place than it is now. A lot of people feel like that song should be changed because it just doesn't apply to what's going on in this day and age. So I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah. And then I think a big thing with the U.S. in particular is we're kind of hypocrites if you think about it. Like, you could not give me, you could put a group of 30 Americans in a room, right? And then 30 minorities. And, okay, they tell the minorities, you have to pass this test to get a green card or whatever, right? Like some people who were, or the immigrants, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to pass the test to get a green card so you can be legal in America. I think if you gave that same group of 30 Americans that same test, they're not passing it.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you right now, I would not pass it. I would not pass it. If I was an immigrant, if I was not born here, I would not pass that test myself. So I don't think it's fair in a way to give immigrants that test if your own American citizens can't pass that test. You know?
Yeah.
I just think there should be some sort of change there.
That's interesting. So that does it for this episode. You know, we had some, we might have got off topic there in the beginning, had a little small rant. But all in all, you know, everything we looked at adds to the bigger picture. So, you know, if you agree with us, that's fine. If not, and you have your own views on those subjects, it's always okay. We respect those opinions.
And like and leave a comment below. We can talk about it.
Yeah, like he said. Thanks for tuning in.